Hello everyone, and welcome to this overview video for the new add-in for MindManager called App Studio. My name is Nigel Galt of Olympic Limited. I've been working in the MindManager field now for upwards of 20 years, both using the product and also developing add-ins for the product. Some of you have probably used our map add-in, which is very popular, has a lot of users around the world, and various other add-ins that we've done, such as task queue, etc. The purpose of this video is to give you a quick overview of App Studio and what it can achieve. App Studio was developed by Nick Duffel of Harport Consulting, and I'm sure some of you who will watch this video are aware of Nick, may well have met him. He is probably the world's best coder and has the most knowledge of developing MindManager add-ins in the world, and has been doing it for probably upwards of 25 to nearly 30 years. So this particular add-in, App Studio, I have to say is an absolute act of brilliance by the man. It's just astounding. So and I think you'll agree when you see what it can enable nearly any user really to extend MindManager for their own uses. So what we're going to look at in this video is what is App Studio and what it can achieve. I'm going to show you a small demo of an app that I was put together in about an hour, which was used completely with App Studio. We're then going to take a look at a more complex app, so you can see just the sort of thing that can be achieved. We're going to then cover license options, next actions, and at the end we're going to thank you for your time. I think this video is probably going to run to about 30 minutes, so I'll try and keep it short. So what is App Studio? App Studio is basically a platform for creating and delivering simple no-code solutions for MindManager. Users can create customizations for either personal use within a company or corporate organization, and also by consultants to work with third parties or any other MindManager user. App Studio is only available for the Windows desktop versions of MindManager. It's not available for MindManager for Mac, and it doesn't work with any of the web versions. So let's have a look at an App Studio app. So with App Studio installed, you will install what's known as the base app. The base app is free. There's no license to run with the base app, and basically that it enables you to receive App Studio maps from other users or from yourself if you have a license copy, to be able to create App Studio apps. Once you install App Studio, you'll see the base app is located under the Advanced ribbon tab in the App Studio group, and this works as a platform for installing and uninstalling your apps, activating and deactivating your apps, and controlling the base settings. So if you look through the menus here, there is a help file which is in map format that will give you some overview of what you can do. There's some about information to do with release notes. There's a license key option, so should you purchase one of the 3 license keys to unlock further features, this is where you can view that key or enter it. We have the option to install or update an app. Again, an app is basically a MindManager map. Everything is done in MindManager maps here. There is no external developer environment required. And the option to uninstall an app as well. Under the options side of things, we have an apps folder. This is the base default folder that App Studio creates when it's installed, and if you generate or if you create an app, this is where your apps will be stored unless you change it. You can change the location of this. You might want to do that if you are developing apps that are going to be distributed to other users. Sometimes it's better to create a second App Studio folder where effectively you can install your apps to and from to test them, so that you're not actually using the folder that you're doing the development in. You have the option to enable or disable apps if you're running multiple apps on your system, basically by checking either of these boxes here. I can actually make an app appear in MindManager in real time. It gets reconfigured before your eyes, and we'll show you that in a little while. There's some other options here which I'm not going to really cover at the moment. Best to just leave them checked if you want to. And at the bottom here we've got an option that you can change the number of previous app builds to keep. So it gives you a bit of a history. So if you want to roll back from something you've done, then you can do that, and obviously you can change the quantity of those backups, if you like, through this interface. So that's basically on the base app. If you have purchased one of the 3 licenses, you will see an App Studio ribbon tab on its own. This has got much more functionality built into it, and it's this menu that you would be using when you actually build out your own apps. Some of these features are not enabled in all license levels. We will cover that at another time, but it's not really in the scope of this video. So we'll cover that in a future video or a webinar. So let's take a look at a demonstration app. So I created this My Tools demo. It took me about an hour. As I say, I've only been really using App Studio for just shy of about 6 weeks, I would imagine. And although it does have a learning curve, it's worth persevering with, because once you actually get enough knowledge and capability and you're able to see what you can achieve with it, then building apps becomes very, very fast indeed. So let's take a look at this. As I said, the App Studio apps are basically combined of 3 things. There's a configuration map, which we'll look at in detail. There's an installer map, and there's also basically the collateral that you need to enable the visuals for that, and the operation of the functionality of perhaps the app through MindManager macros. So what happens when you install an app? So if I click this link, you'll see that when you open an App Studio installer map, you are presented with a dialog. If the app's not already installed, you'll be prompted to install the app. If you do already have the app, then you'll be prompted to update or refresh the contents of it. So I'm just going to click install, and if you watch the ribbon menus up here, you'll actually see some changes take place as that happens. So I click install, and then you can see we get a confirmation dialog of what's been done. So it shows me the collateral that's been installed for my app. I'm just going to OK that away, and you'll now see that we've got a My Tools ribbon menu added to MindManager, and you hopefully saw that go in real time. So I'm just going to flick back to here. So we've confirmed that the install and viewed the results. So if we look at the elements of the My Tools demo, as I mentioned, we have a configuration map, we have an installer map, and we also have a folder which contains the collateral that's needed by the app. So I'm just going to show you what this app does. So if I select a couple of topics here, the first feature that I've put in is actually something that's in our map add-in, and that's the ability to lock or unlock topic text. So with topics selected, I can now run that command, and you'll see that these 2 topics now have had a read-only attribute applied to them. So I can't change this text, which is great if you want to create maps with topic structures that you don't want anyone to change the namings of. You can't protect the whole topic, you can't stop it being deleted, but you can stop it from having the text changed. Again, if I reselect them and run it the second time, then the read-only attributes are removed. So that's one simple thing that was done. The other one I've put in here for demonstration purposes is the folder map. So if I select a topic that has a hyperlink to a folder, in this case I'll do the actual app folder so you can see. If I run this, we now get a list of all the files that are inside the My Tools App Studio demo. So these are the files that the app is utilizing. So there's 3 macros for the commands that run. And there's also the 3 images of either icon or PNG format that create the visuals for the ribbon. So that's that. And if we look at the final one is just a simple command that basically, when clicked, opens up a blank Word document ready for editing. So you've accessed that directly inside MindManager. Obviously, you could do that with any form of other external application on your system if you wish to do so. So that's what an app looks like when it's installed. That's the kind of thing you can do. You can also do an awful lot more. So as you can see, what's happened here is we've created excuse me, we've created a ribbon menu for the My Tools app, or a ribbon tab if you want to call it that. We created the tools group within that ribbon menu to hold the commands. Obviously the commands that we've actually added in here, and there's also some topic properties which we're going to show you in a little while. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to create an app. So I'm going to go to the App Studio tab, and under here, and we're not going to cover all of this because some of this, well, a lot of this is really outside the purview of an overview demo, but we will be covering these in individual webinars or demonstrations that really show you how to get hold of and utilize each of the features that App Studio provides. So if I come over to the left hand drop down, you'll see that I can create new apps, install or update, or I can actually uninstall an app. So for this one, I'm going to create an empty app. Okay, I'm going to give it a name. We'll just call it Demo 1. Click OK, and App Studio has created a blank configuration map. So the configuration map is where we build out the interface for MindManager. Each of these elements here, we're not going to cover the first two. Again, they're outside the scope of this demo. But the tabs button or tabs topic is the initial area that we want to build out. So this is where any ribbon tabs we want to add to MindManager will start. So with that selected, excuse me, I can now go up to the insert menu and decide what I want to do. Now, depending upon what you have selected, these options will either be enabled or disabled. So for this demo, I want to create a new tab. So I click on that. It shows me that the element type that I'm using here is a ribbon tab. As you can see, there are other things that we can create, but at the moment we want the tab. The properties enable you to change things like where the tab appears, its display level, shortcuts and URIs if you need them, again outside the scope of this demo. So the one I am going to change is the caption. So I'm just going to put Demo 1 tab. And I save that, and App Studio builds a new topic which contains certain properties that I can change and edit. If I wish to edit this, I can do some of that editing within the properties on the topic, or I can come up here and with it selected, I can select edit the element, and it will then once again bring up that editor window. Okay, so we've got a tab. Nothing's changed yet, we've only built it out in the configuration map. So the next thing we do, with that topic selected, we're now going to insert a ribbon group. So again, we get a similar interface. I'm only going to change the caption, and I'll just call that group 1. Save that, and once again, App Studio gives me my ribbon group. With that selected, I'm now going to start adding commands. So I go back to Insert, and I can add a ribbon button. So on this, there's a few more options here. We want a button. The action is what's going to happen when we click the button. So for this particular one, I will do something very, very simple, so that just to give you a demonstration of it. The caption I will label as Olympic website. I want it to be enabled always, and that's okay. You can change some of these elements to mean that the buttons or the commands are only available depending upon what is selected or certain elements within the map. Again, that's slightly outside of the purview of this demonstration, but there is comprehensive developer documentation when you trial or purchase a developer license at any of the 3 levels. So I want the button enabled. I won't put an image in, but basically this is a default image that is stored. If you wish to use your own images, what you would need to do is store them in the base app folder, as you saw when I ran that folder map functionality, and you need to make sure that the naming of the button is basically _16 underscore and then the name and extension, or _32 underscore and then the name and the extension. The difference is for those is if the when it's compiled, it looks at either if it looks at the _16 images, it realizes that that's going on a small submenu or small button, so it's not a main button. If you wanted to have a full button such as this refresh installer button here, you'd need to make sure that that was an _32 underscore image. I'm not going to change that just for the sake of this demo. And the other thing we can add in here is the tip. This is the other thing that you mainly use it for. So I'm going to go visit Olympic website. So that's the button there, and the last thing I'm going to do is on the action, I'm going to select that. You'll see that we've got some properties here that are already defined, and I'm going to go to open link, and I'm going to change this to https olympiclimited.co.uk. So I'm going to give that the URL for our website. Once I click that, you'll see now that we have that command button represented as a topic in this configuration map. Again, there are a lot of properties here which you've seen are obviously from the options that we've selected. So it is possible to edit this topic by using the edit element option up here on the left of the ribbon, or we can actually change it within the properties as well. So that's how you would build something out. If I wanted to duplicate a button, I can actually copy that topic and paste it in here, and I'm doing this just very quickly to show you just how versatile this is once you start getting used to it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually rebuild the configuration. Now when I do this, the App Studio add-in is actually going to compile everything that's contained in the map. We've used no other external development tools, and it's going to configure the button. So what I'm going to do is rebuild that configuration. You'll see we get an overview of what's happened. This is to do with some other things that I've done previously and I haven't cleaned up, so you can ignore that. So once we close that, you can now see I've got my demo tab. If I click that, I now have my group 1 and I have 2 buttons with tips. And if I select the button for the website, hopefully you can see that that has opened up the Olympic website. Let's close that back down. Excuse me. So that is very quickly how you build out a simple change or addition to the MindManager interface. Obviously you can do a lot more once you get used to what the capabilities are. You can extend MindManager much further than simple buttons to web URLs or buttons to portals and things like that. You can run macros that will interact with the map and create changes in real time. So if I wanted to, I'm just going to check on here. So we've created the new app and I've showed you how to build out the configuration map. So let's just look at editing. As I said before, editing is relatively straightforward. We can copy and move elements of the configuration map around, but when we make a change, so for example, I'm literally just for ease and speed, I'm just going to add that button again. Okay, so once I've made those changes, as you can see at the moment the demo tab still has 3 buttons on here, but what happens is when I go to App Studio and I rebuild, if you keep an eye on the menu, on the ribbon menu of MindManager, you'll see bits of it changing in real time. I OK that, and if I go back to my demo tab now, you can see I've got that 3rd one. Likewise, if I wanted to take 2 of these out, I can either delete them or under the App Studio ribbon I can block the tree. So if I block the tree and now I reconfigure, click OK, and I go back to the demo tab, you can see I've only got the one command. So that's an excellent feature that enables you excuse me, to have multiple commands that you're able to choose whether or not they actually compile when you reconfigure this configuration map. So as I mentioned, everything is done within this map. At a personal developer license level, you basically have the ability to build out these configuration maps, run them to create and change interfaces in MindManager to your own use, but they're only for your own use. You can't build these configurations out and share them with other people because they're built to work on your system. If you purchase a corporate developer license or a consultant developer license, you then get access to being able to create installer maps which can be distributed. So that's basically how you create a new app, you build it out, you can edit it. Obviously there are quite a lot of options there. There's more than we want to cover in this. We just want to get you to be able to see how quickly you can build a little ribbon menu of your own and start adding things to that. I found that once I'd started to use App Studio, that my brain started picking up thinking, oh, that's great, I could possibly apply that to do this. So it starts to get you thinking about other ways that you can utilize App Studio to make your MindManager experience much better. So let's just have a look now at an installer map. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, I've lost the map that I want to show you, which is great. Okay, so over here we have the installer map, so I'm going to reopen that and we'll have a little look at what this contains. So this is basically something that's generated from your configuration map. It takes the configuration map information and it packages it up into an installer map. So an end user of App Studio doesn't necessarily get your configuration map, which would allow them to make changes to the interface. You would deliver an installer map. So the installer map would install everything that you wanted the user to see, but wouldn't enable them to change it even if they had a licensed version. So what we've got here is some default folders that are already created. So these are things that are going to actually install onto the user system. These things here, such as the just get rid of that. These things here, such as the templates and map parts, are already standard MindManager folders. And the apps folder is the base folder for your App Studio apps. And as you can see here, this has now built a tree out of topics which include the collateral that I need to put into to use with the app. Sorry, getting a bit distracted by Nick messaging me, funnily enough. So as you can see, it's basically created topics for each of the files that I'm using. It's attached the actual file to the topics, and that's what App Studio uses when it compiles. And a lot of things are compiled into this App Studio configuration XML, which helps keep some things protected and hidden away. So again, with this type of map, when you wish to install things like perhaps you may have custom map parts that you've created that are relevant to your organization, or there might be some templates, you can actually build these installers out so that when a user receives the map, and it is only the map that they're receiving, with App Studio installed as a base app, they can open that, it will run the install, and it will populate all of the collateral that they need on their system. So that at a high level is how that works. You can do much more complex things than this, but again, that's really outside the purview of this video for today. So we've done that. Let's have a look. We've covered that. So that's the overview of the demo, of the My Apps demo. So what I'd like to show you now is visual project maps. Now this was built with App Studio. It took, I don't know, probably a few days to actually build out once I understood exactly what I was doing. I think the biggest thing that took me the time was that most of my commands in this App Studio app have macros behind them. So the actual programming of the macros is what took the time. The building of the interface was very, very straightforward and very, very easy. So I'll just show you the configuration map for the Visual Project Maps app. And as you can see here, I've got a few things that I was using when I just close that one down when I was building out on over here over demo projects. So I've basically cordoned that one off, so when this gets run, it doesn't actually build in these commands. And then basically I have a Visual Project Maps tab, different groups here which have got commands in. You can see the icons, the macros that are attached to them that run when those options are run. And as you can see, this is very similar to what I've just shown you with the MyTools demo, and it's built out in a very logical manner all within the map. So that's the configuration map for Visual Project Maps. The installer map for Visual Project Maps, and I'm just going to cancel that, looks somewhat different. So here you can see that I've got the main apps folder where Visual Project Maps gets installed. This is a flat folder, so there's only files in here, there are no subfolders. The elements that I've highlighted with the attention mark are elements that allow me to filter this map off and create separate installer maps that don't install certain types of functionality. If we look here, we've got some My Maps things. I've actually added in some actual files. They are map files that support the project management add-in that we've built with this, and this installs all of these files. You can see some of the systems files here for the user guide. There's a version text file, and then these are subfolders that then contain other maps that build out the framework. And down here you can see under the map parts node, I've actually installed or I'm installing, depending again on licensing or version level, I've actually installed some MindManager map parts for use with this app. So if I'll show you this app by going to advanced, if I come up to options, I've got Visual Project Maps here. So if I select this, and if you watch the when I click OK, if you watch the MindManager ribbon interface, you'll see it hopefully change in real time. It takes a little bit longer, this one, because there's more in it. So you can see I've enabled that, and this was the add-in that was built, or the app that was built with App Studio for Visual Project Maps. So this includes a whole load of commands that do various things, from simply opening up, I don't know if I can do this, oh yes I can. If I open up this is the project management desktop from an example project of Visual Project Maps. Once this is open, I can now interact with other things. So for example, in this, if I want to look at my issue register, I can click that and it comes straight into this map, so I can start working on that. I have one for a daily log again, so all of these templates are built, so when you build a new project from the new project command, all of that information is extracted and the new project is built using macro code, all wrapped up in App Studio. I mean, it's a very, very clean. The thing that I like about it the most, I think, is that because of the way App Studio compiles and installs apps, it's very easy that if something's not right or you need to add something or amend something, you can do that within the configuration map, recompile and install a map, send that map to a user, and they can just literally open that map, update the add-in or the app rather, and have those new features or those changes displayed immediately. So it really cuts down on the time to actually make changes and distribute them across users, whereas with an add-in, if you're using Visual Studio and that, any of you who've used that will know that actually it's quite a complex task and a time-consuming task excuse me, to continuously be rebuilding things for changes. So this actually means that the way that this works, it makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker to actually deliver changes or updates to end users, which is absolutely fantastic. So that really is what I wanted to show you from the actual sort of hands-on aspect. The last things I want to look at really and talk about are the different elements of license options. So I'll try and cover this quickly. Basically, the base app is as I showed you. This is the one that gets installed under the advanced ribbon group here. That's free to download, no license required, and that will work. There are downloads available for MindManager 2020, 21 and 22. It may be possible for us to actually produce App Studio for some earlier versions of MindManager, such as 2019, 2018, because much of what App Studio does is core to MindManager versions, and they haven't changed that much across releases. So this provides the base platform for users to uninstall, as we've seen, or install the apps. The first real tier of license level, which obviously is a paid license, is a personal developer. With a personal developer license, it enables you to build configuration maps for your own use with MindManager, but it doesn't allow you to compile installer maps, so you are unable to share those apps with people. The apps can only be configured and compiled and run on your installation. The next license level at corporate developer level, basically App Studio licenses work on a license key that's provided which includes your email address. If you're at a corporate developer license level, what it means is you are able to configure and build and compile apps rather. Keep doing that. So you can build and compile apps that you can distribute to people within the organization. If they're using MindManager with the free download of App Studio, as long as MindManager in the user options has their company email address, then the App Studio apps at corporate developer level will pick that up. So basically anyone who's in the email domain will have access to those apps. So it means that the license is only actually required for the person or persons who are going to be creating the actual apps or editing and updating them and distributing them. Other users in the organization use the base App Studio, which has zero cost. So again, it's a very cost-effective way of distributing MindManager content and functionality within your organization. And the highest level at the moment is the consultant developer. This basically enables you to configure and build installer maps that you can freely send to any user of App Studio. So it's not restricted to your company or to your system. You could build an app to do certain features and actually just publicly share that through social media with a link to the App Studio base application, and anyone who receives that map, as long as they've got MindManager and they install the correct version of App Studio, will have no problem running that app on their system. So as you can see, there's a very varied level of ability within the license structures. So that's really about it for now. I mean, next actions would be that you can visit our website, which is www.olympic-limited.co.uk. This is a new add-in for us. I'm working very closely with Nick Duffield to improve it and extend it further than it already is. And as we do that and we build more content around it, we will hopefully be giving you more videos on individual elements of using App Studio in detail. And we're also going to be scheduling some upcoming webinars where we will cover various topics around App Studio based on user feedback as well. You can request an App Studio personal developer trial from our website. As I mentioned before, App Studio works with license keys that run from your email. So if you do request a key, please make sure that the email address that you're using in MindManager is the same email address that you request the license key for. And with obviously the personal developer license, that lasts you for 30 days and will enable you to create and build configuration maps on your own system, so you can get a feel for what App Studio can do. And as I previously mentioned, the other thing you can do is register to attend one of our upcoming webinars. We hopefully will have a webinar coming up within the next few weeks, which will be our initial one, again covering bits and pieces that we've probably collated from the trials that people are currently using, and feedback that we've received. So if you've got the time for those when they start coming up, I would recommend that you jump on board and view those. I'm sure they'll be very entertaining, and I'm sure that the knowledge that Nick will be sharing as the presenter will really make a difference to your MindManager experience. So with that all said, I just want to thank you for your time. We appreciate your interest. I really look forward to working with you. As I said, App Studio is very, very new. We hope there's going to be some great things coming down the road with App Studio, and it would be great if you jump on board and be a part of that journey with us, and help us make App Studio the best possible solution for MindManager that suits your needs. So with that, I'll bid you farewell. If you have any problems or questions, please visit our website. There are forms on there that you can fill in to register for trials and webinars. But if you do have any specific questions or anything like that, or specific requests, please feel free to email me. My email address is nigel.gault, G-O-U-L-T, at olympic-limited.co.uk, and I look forward to speaking with you again very soon. Thank you.